No, this is Americans. We're so egocentric. We believe that the world revolves around us. So somehow many Americans have bought into the notion that Trump is going to save Russia from this problem that is. Trump believes that too. This war should never have happened. It wouldn't have happened had I been president. Wrong answer, Donald Trump. Russia doesn't care about you because you don't know anything about Russia. I mean, the moment the United States actually can sit down at the table and speak intelligently, the moment they can bring somebody like a Jack Matlock, former ambassador to the Soviet Union, to the table instead of bringing idiots like Michael McFaul. Michael McFaul, the Russians just tuned out the Obama administration, said, we're done. Just you're static noise. We don't listen. Jack Matlock had to listen. Intelligent conversation, knowledgeable. We have to bring somebody of that caliber to the table for the Russians to listen to. Donald Trump's not it. And the Russians will listen to him, but Donald Trump has to understand, and somebody really needs to sit down and whisper him that the best way to solve this thing is to shut up and just get the hell out of there with minimal fuss.
Scott Ritter just dropped a truth bomb that shatters a major illusion. While many in the U.S. believe Russia is clinging to the hope of a Trump presidency, Ritter makes it clear Moscow isn't waiting for a savior. They don't care about Trump. They don't need him. And they certainly aren't holding on for some miracle rescue from Washington. The idea that Russia is barely holding on, desperately waiting for Trump to swoop in and change the course of the war, is pure fantasy. Ritter exposes this American delusion, pointing out that the Kremlin sees all U.S. presidents as the same, irrelevant to their long-term strategy. The brutal reality? Russia doesn't see Trump as a game changer. They see him as just another loud voice in a country that, from their perspective, has lost all credibility. The geopolitical tensions surrounding Ukraine have taken a dramatic turn, with significant developments not only on the battlefield, but also in the diplomatic arena. While military operations continue to escalate, a parallel battle is being fought over Ukraine's economic and strategic future, one that involves high-stakes negotiations over rare earth metals and security guarantees. President Zelensky's repeated refusal to sign an agreement on rare earth metals with the United States has raised numerous questions about Ukraine's long-term alliances, potential strategic shifts, and the broader implications for the ongoing war. As the West scrambles to secure influence over Ukraine's resources, a deeper power struggle is unfolding, revealing the complex interplay of political maneuvering, economic interests, and military realities. In a move that has stunned many observers, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has, for the second time in a row, refused to sign an agreement with the United States concerning rare earth metals. This refusal has sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles, as it was widely expected that the deal would be finalized. For weeks, multiple reports suggested that an agreement was imminent, with high-ranking officials, media outlets, and even U.S. President Donald Trump himself stating that Ukraine was ready to move forward with the deal. However, at the last moment, Zelensky once again backed away, citing the absence of security guarantees for Ukraine as the primary reason. This development raises fundamental questions about the state of relations between Ukraine and the United States. Given the significance of rare earth metals in modern technology, especially in military applications, semiconductors, and energy sectors, the deal was seen as a crucial step in securing Ukraine's economic future and solidifying its alliance with the U.S. However, Zelensky's hesitancy suggests deeper strategic considerations at play. One of the key reasons Zelensky may have refused to sign the agreement is his insistence that such a deal should be personally signed by him and Trump in a direct meeting, rather than through lower-ranking officials. This request is highly symbolic. It goes beyond just securing a deal. It is about legitimacy and political survival. If Trump were to personally sign the agreement with Zelensky, it would serve as an explicit recognition of Zelensky's authority as Ukraine's legitimate leader. This, in turn, would allow him to delay elections in Ukraine, extending his presidency under the justification of the ongoing war. From a political standpoint, this move makes sense for Zelensky. Ukraine's current political situation is precarious, and holding elections in wartime would be risky, both in terms of security and political stability. By securing a personal agreement with Trump, Zelensky could effectively ensure U.S. backing for his continued leadership, avoiding potential electoral challenges that could arise from war fatigue and domestic discontent. However, this insistence on a personal deal has created friction with the U.S., which prefers a more institutional approach. Washington reportedly wanted the agreement to be signed at the ministerial level, either by Ukraine's finance minister or, at the very least, by the head of the Ukrainian parliament, Ruslan Stefanchuk. The fact that the U.S. is pushing for a deal that bypasses Zelensky directly has only deepened suspicions that Washington is hedging its bets on Ukraine's future leadership. Adding another layer of complexity to the situation is the upcoming political shift in Germany. The German elections have introduced new uncertainties, and the likely victory of Friedrich Merz as the next chancellor could significantly alter Europe's approach to the war in Ukraine. Merz, a leader from the Christian Democratic Union, has signaled a more aggressive stance against Russia and a greater commitment to Ukraine's defense. One of his key campaign messages has been the need to prepare for the possibility that Donald Trump may not fully uphold NATO obligations, reinforcing the argument that Europe must take more responsibility for its own security. Moreover, there have been growing discussions within European political circles about the possibility of providing Ukraine with nuclear guarantees. France and the UK both possess nuclear arsenals, but their combined capacity is far smaller than that of Russia. Germany, while hosting American nuclear weapons, lacks its own independent nuclear deterrent. If European leaders move forward with such discussions, it could mark a significant escalation in the geopolitical stakes. The European Union has emerged as a potential counterweight to U.S. influence over Ukraine. In recent days, reports have surfaced that the EU is preparing a massive €700 billion aid package for Ukraine, far surpassing the financial commitments currently being discussed between Ukraine and the United States. This proposed package is not just about money. It represents a long-term security and economic partnership that could reshape Ukraine's future alignment. If Ukraine chooses the EU's offer over the US deal, it would indicate a strategic pivot towards Europe rather than relying primarily on American support. This is likely one of the reasons why Trump is pushing so hard to finalize the rare earth metals agreement as quickly as possible. He understands that if Ukraine locks itself into a European-backed financial and security framework, American leverage over Kyiv will be significantly reduced. While these high-stakes diplomatic negotiations unfold, the battlefield situation in Ukraine remains intense. Russia has continued its offensive operations with the goal of cutting off key Ukrainian supply lines, particularly in the Sumy direction. Reports indicate that Russian forces have successfully established control over the settlement of Novinka, forcing Ukrainian troops to scramble to stabilize the situation. The Ukrainian military, caught off guard by this offensive, has had to construct defensive fortifications from scratch, a challenging task given the pace of Russian advances. The Russian objective is clear: to break through Ukrainian defensive lines and seize control of the settlement of Basova. If they succeed, they will be able to cut Highway M07, which connects the city of Sumy to key supply hubs, further tightening the noose around Ukrainian forces. However, even if Russia manages to sever this highway, it does not necessarily mean that Ukrainian troops in Sumy will be encircled. There are still alternative routes available, though they are less optimal and would force Ukrainian forces to rely on poorly developed infrastructure for resupply operations. Over the past 72 hours, Russian airstrikes have intensified dramatically. Reports indicate that Russia has been using FAB-3000 bombs, massive munitions designed to obliterate fortified positions. Ukrainian defensive strongholds have been targeted in multiple locations, leading to significant destruction and casualties. Video footage from the front lines shows Russian aircraft delivering devastating precision strikes against Ukrainian positions. These attacks have been relentless, with at least 3 major strikes occurring in the past few days. The use of such heavy bombs suggests that Russia is attempting to break Ukrainian defensive lines through sheer firepower rather than relying on traditional ground assaults alone. Ukraine is facing a critical juncture, both on the battlefield and in diplomatic negotiations. Zelensky's refusal to sign the rare earth metals agreement signals deeper strategic calculations that extend beyond financial considerations. With Germany's new leadership poised to take a stronger stance against Russia and the European Union offering an unprecedented aid package, Ukraine finds itself at a crossroads. Meanwhile, Russia is intensifying its military campaign, seeking to cut off Ukrainian supply lines and force a battlefield breakthrough. The next few weeks will be crucial in determining Ukraine's strategic direction, whether it aligns more closely with Europe or remains tethered to the United States. Either way, the stakes have never been higher, and every decision made in Kyiv will have far-reaching consequences for the outcome of the war. The situation on the ground is evolving rapidly, and the strategic decisions being made at the highest levels, whether in Washington, Kyiv, Berlin, or Moscow, are shaping the future of this conflict. Zelensky's repeated refusal to sign the rare earth metals agreement signals a deeper geopolitical struggle between the United States and the European Union over Ukraine's future. The stakes couldn't be higher. If the EU is indeed preparing a record-breaking $700 billion aid package, it could fundamentally change the course of the war, shifting Ukraine's reliance away from the US and directly into Europe's orbit. Meanwhile, Russia is intensifying its offensive operations, making decisive moves to cut off key Ukrainian supply lines and potentially encircle entire sectors of the front. The coming weeks will be crucial, as decisions made now could determine not only the fate of Ukraine, but the broader trajectory of what many are calling Cold War II. What do you think? Is Ukraine better off aligning with the European Union for long-term security guarantees, or should it solidify its commitments with the United States? And how will Russia respond to these shifts in alliances? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest developments in this high-stakes geopolitical conflict. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next update.